Brian, read me the first paragraph.
Times has changed. Have you? Have you? Most of us were trained to do a very uninspiring meet and greet. Some version of the welcome to, I am, and you are. It's time to modernize your meet and greet. It's time to create a transparent start to the customer's purchase process. 5 important questions you can ask to communicate transparency and get the engagement started out on the right foot.
Duke, what is number 1?
Have you done your online research?
Have you done your online research? What's going to be the response to that the vast majority of the time?
No.
Yes. Yes or no?
What do you mean, no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? Terrific. What can I find for you that you couldn't find online? Offer up additional information. Kyle had a really good line this morning. He said, can I get you some pricing and other information about the vehicle for you? Okay? So we're being transparent. All right? So congratulate them on doing online research. Offer to pick up where they left off. See what else we can help them find from an informational standpoint. Now, another thing I don't think I have in there in the first page, but it comes in later, is I was with a group of salespeople. This was a couple months ago, and we were talking about how to handle the customer who says, "Look, I ain't going to buy today. I'm just looking." Okay. We were talking about different ways to handle it. And this guy raises his hand. He goes, no customer ever tells me they're just looking or they're not buying today. And I thought to myself, I didn't say it out loud, but I said, that's bullshit. I said, what do you mean? He goes, nobody ever says it to me. I said, how can that be? He said, because I say it before they can. I said, what do you mean? He said, at my meet and greet, one of the first things I say is, hey, Brian, nice to meet you. By the way, if you're just looking, you don't need to buy a car today. It's perfectly fine with us. We're just glad you're here. Think about how smart that is. If he says it, the customer can't say it. So you don't have to handle it. If you're just looking today and don't need to buy a car today, that's fine with us. We're just glad you're here. Now, his intent is to deliver them a car or a truck. Make no mistake about it. But do you think that might break down the wall just a bit? What's the customer's state when they show up here?
Anxious.
Anxious? Nervous? Defensive?
Yeah.
Scared?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the quicker we can break down that wall, the better. Another salesperson in St. Louis, he said, Steve, what I do is I let them know right off the bat that I'm not going to sell them a car. I said, what do you mean? He said, look, do people like to be sold? By the way, do people like to be sold?
No.
No. But what do they love to do?
Be helped.
They love to buy or be helped with their vehicle needs. So he just says, look, if you've done your online research, you don't need a car salesman. You need someone to help you buy a car. Will you let me do that for you today? I'm not here to sell you a car.
I always say that.
I think that's brilliant. And Najib, you do that.
I always say that.
It's brilliant. Don't be a car salesman. Be someone who helps people buy cars. And you will sell more cars. Okay? What's number 2? What's your name? Yohani? Yohani, what's number 2?
How can I help? What can I find for you that you were unable to find online?
Okay, isn't that part of number 1?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's number 2?
That
Is number 2?
Yes.
I stand corrected. Hell, I wrote this. I ought to know. All right, what's number 3?
Did you see our Advantage program, value proposition, or MotorTrend Certified online?
Yeah, let's stick with the value proposition. Did you see our value proposition online? What is our value proposition? Something we can't go through all this now, can we?
No.
No. What would we want to say at meet and greet that would entice the customer?
Number 1 Chrysler dealership.
Well, you're at the number 1 Chrysler dealership in the world. Okay? Our inventory is bigger than anybody else's. Our volume is bigger, which means our price has got to be good. I mean, hell, that simple. That simple. And by the way, we're into speed. We know customers don't like to spend more time than necessary. We're really efficient at helping people buy cars. All right? Now, chances are they're going to respond. Most customers aren't going to know what a value proposition is, much less they're not going to have seen it on your website or remembered if they did. So be prepared to give them like a, 15-second recap of what's cool about Jerry Owen, okay? What is next, Duke?
The fourth order.
Yep.
Did you see the price online? Any question how we arrive at the price?
Ask me if I saw the price online, Duke.
Have you seen the price online?
Duke, I did see your price online. Say, you got any questions about how we price our cars, Steve? Say, do you have any questions about how we price our cars,
Do you have any
Steve?
question how we price our cars, Steve?
Duke, how do you price your cars?
We price our cars based on the market, so we like to be below market pricing.
How do you do that?
We look into the
We have a program, software they do that.
Third-party software that does what?
look into pricing of the vehicle.
Every like vehicle in a 200 or 300 mile radius. We match up every new and used vehicle we have in our inventory with every other like vehicle in a 200 or 300 mile radius. Okay? Well, Duke, have I experienced that kind of pricing in any other parts of my life? This is key. Walmart uses market-based pricing. Target, Delta Airlines, Marriott Hotels, service stations, grocery stores. Everybody uses market-based pricing. When you let the customer know they've experienced market-based pricing in other phases of their life, it'll have more meaning that we're market-based price. Most people think that we price our cars based on an individual transaction, which means I'm going to price it one way for Brian, another way for Yohani, another way for Tony. That's not the way we do it. We market-based price our vehicles. It's supply and demand. My hotel room last night is cheaper than it will be tonight, even though it's the same hotel room. Why?
Because of the market?
More people. There's a bigger demand on a Monday night than there is a Sunday night. My airline ticket was cheaper yesterday than it would have been this morning. Why?
It's more demand.
More demand on Monday mornings from business flyers than on Sunday afternoons. So one of the things that I find really fascinating, and I learned this from somebody else, is when they point out that Target and Walmart use market-based pricing, what signal does that send to the customer?
Familiarity?
Familiarity, yes, but what else? What about the price?
Lower pricing.
Low pricing. And what's Walmart advertise? Always the low price. So when you do that, you create psychologically in the customer's mind the psyche of low price. Okay? We're gonna practice talking about market-based pricing in just a bit. All right, what is the next one? What's your name?
Riley.
Riley?
Yes, sir.
Riley, what's the next one?
How much time have you budgeted for this visit?
Riley, I budgeted a couple hours.
Wonderful, we can get you into anything that you're looking for. What was the vehicle you're interested in?
You got a used Honda Pilot on your line.
Awesome. Let me pull up our LoJack app and see where it's located and get you right to it.
That would be one way of doing it. But what if we could get the customer in and out faster? Would that make them happy?
Yeah.
Would that make us happy? Yeah. Look, we want to help people buy cars faster. Because the faster I'm out of your hair, Brian, the quicker you can get to the next up, right?
Yep.
Okay? So, Riley, read what's under that line.
There are 2 ways we can save you some time.
2 ways we can save time.
First is the credit process. It takes a while to match you up with the proper lender, regardless of how good your credit is. Second is the appraisal process. It takes time. If we could start both those processes now.
What if the customer agrees to fill out a credit app and get the appraisal process started at meet and greet? What have you done to their level of commitment?
You just made them commit more.
Oh, it's a deal.
Yes.
It's a deal. Okay? It's the earliest trial close in the history of the automobile business. I've got a Ford store in North Carolina that their sales team, extremely well trained. They ask every single customer at meet and greet, would you like to save some time? Here's how we can do it. They are literally, now they don't have nearly, it's 170 or 80 unit a month store, so it's not nearly as big as yours. All their vehicles are surrounding the dealership. There's no comparison in size, but they're delivering people from start to finish in an hour and a half now. And they're giving credit primarily to the fact that most of the customers are filling out a credit app and getting the appraisal started at meet and greet. Okay? All right, does this stuff make sense?